Hello, my horror-loving dudes. I'm Killjoy Jake, and today we have updates on Saw X as well as Scream 6. Let's get into it.
Well, sometimes that is better.
So getting right into Saw X, talking about a big update on this new film. So as we've learned from previous updates, Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith are back as John Kramer and Amanda Young for Saw 10. Hopefully it's called Saw X, as Kevin Grudert says he really wants to call it here, but it releases on October 27th of this year, and the film has just wrapped production. Now, Kevin Grudert, who is the director of this upcoming film, he also directed Saws 6 and 7, as well as edited the first 5 movies, has some very interesting things to say about the franchise with this new return. Talking about getting the franchise back on track, Kevin Grudert says, "I hope we can use the title Saw X, because this chapter really gets back to the roots of what makes Saw so special to me and everyone else who loves John Kramer's saga." While no plot details have been released so far, the director teases that John Kramer's return to the Saw franchise is a blood-spitting beast of a story. So just to catch those up who aren't as familiar with the overall Saw story, trust me, it's a lot. You gotta watch like every single movie, every single one adds some kind of piece to this massive puzzle. In the present, John Kramer is dead as well as Amanda Young, but we could do a little bit of a flashback here, maybe have them come back. There's more stuff that happened in between Saws 2 and 3 perhaps. Because as we know from Saws 3 and 4, those movies take place at the same time and Amanda dies at the end of that one. Well, also as well as John Kramer technically. So with both of these characters coming back, this movie is either going to take place entirely before the events of those films, or maybe we do some kind of flashback thing. Because don't forget, in Saw 7, which, you know, another movie that adds more to this puzzle, we've set up yet another apprentice of John Kramer's in Carrie Elwes's character. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's what Google said was correct. As a huge Saw fan, I would love to see this story continued here in Saw X, while also maybe showing some stuff from the past to kind of make all of that make more sense. I would be so into that. Now, I absolutely love the Saw franchise, even Spiral from the Book of Saw, which, yes, is a big breakaway from the overarching story of the entire franchise thus far. That's why it's called From the Book of Saw. I love the characters and the traps in Spiral. Don't get me wrong, I actually do really enjoy that movie, but the overall story I don't think is great. The twist is pretty obvious, and it also doesn't really connect to anything from the past besides that yet again we have a John Kramer copycat. But that character was not a disciple of John Kramer's, and there's also an open-ended story right now where a lot of different things need to be resolved in hopefully this film, or perhaps even leave us with another cliffhanger to be resolved in a future movie. I would argue that Kevin Grudert knows this franchise better than most. Saw 6 is personally my favorite entry in the entire franchise. Highly recommend that one. So I'm hoping he can get the franchise back on the rails here with Saw X. Not to say that Spiral was bad. Once again, really liked that movie, really enjoyed it, but I'm excited to get back to like the prime storyline, if that makes sense. I'm going to be covering Saw X a little more extensively because I am just so excited for this film. This, Scream 6, and Evil Dead Rise are easily the movies I am the most excited for moving forward with the rest of the year, so I can't wait to see this puppy come October 27th. Maybe we'll also see Hoffman back. That would be pretty cool. But now getting into a Scream 6 update, we have some brand new character posters for Scream 6, kind of like how we got for Scream 5 last year. These ones I would argue are even more dope though. Now this wouldn't be much of an update if I kind of just threw a bunch of posters on the screen and was like, hey, check these out. These are pretty cool, right? So I want to go through each of them individually and kind of talk about the fates of these characters, at least my predictions on them. So starting off with Tony Revolori's character Jason here, I genuinely think that this guy is dead from the get-go. I'm not thinking he's like the opening kill. I'm kind of thinking like where Vince's death was in Scream 5, Tony Revolori's death will be like in a similar spot. This guy's a goner, throw him in a body bag. Let's move on to the next one. Sam Carpenter, our new leading final girl. I think she's making it through this movie. We got to have a Scream 7, right? So I think she is absolutely living through this one. It would be kind of weird if she didn't. I don't really have too much more to say about that. I mean, I really want to see Sydney in the next movie again. That would be great, but I definitely think Sam is our new lead, our new focus, and it would be just kind of weird if in the middle of a trilogy we just decided to swap the focus on somebody else. Samara Weaving's character Laura, I am 100% sold on her being the opening kill. I would love for her to be a Ghostface in this franchise, trust me, but she's also a great choice for Radio Silence's Scream movie. And I know that's a weird thing to say because they've already made Scream 5, but that felt like Radio Silence trying to do Wes Craven, but this movie feels much more like Radio Silence doing Radio Silence, like a Ready or Not kind of approach to a Scream movie. So considering that this was their lead actress in their biggest movie besides their Scream stuff, I see her dying in the opening scene. Also, basically every shot we've gotten of her in the teasers and the trailers, TV spots, whatever, it's been her on a phone. That just screams an opening kill to me. Chad Meeks Martin, played by the absolutely incredible Mason Gooding. I really want this character to to survive, but I feel like he's gonna die. Like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like this guy's not making it through this one. I honestly wouldn't be mad at all in any way, shape, or form if they kind of make fun of Dewey in a little bit with him, if they kind of like pretend to kill him in the third act or whatever, and then he comes back and he's on a stretcher or whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm okay. No, I'm making it to the next one again. That would be hilarious in my opinion, to kind of make fun of Dewey a little bit and to make this character the heart of the film once again. He's so silly, he's so goofy. I see him easily slipping into that role here in Scream 6. That would be a really funny thing to happen to this character. I kind of want him to survive just for that reason. But give us a fake out here. This is where the fake out should be. Liana Liberato playing Quinn Bailey, which that name is hilarious in my mind because that whole character name confirms that she is the daughter of Detective Bailey, a character we will get to here in a second. Why that's hilarious to me is that Dermot Mulroney plays a dad in Insidious 3 who also has a daughter named Quinn. Now, how crazy would that have been if they got the same actress from Insidious 3 to play this character here? No shade against Liana Liberato, but that would have been hilarious. Okay, but staying on track here, Liana Liberato, I see her as a death midway through this movie, maybe more similar to like a CC Cooper kind of like chase and kill somewhere in the middle here. A big reason I'm thinking this as well is because Dermot Mulroney was in an interview a little while ago, kind of turned into Tom Holland a little bit, spilling the beans on this new movie, kind of saying that his daughter is a victim to Ghostface. Now, obviously, that's not saying that this is a death, but if you're one of Ghostface's victims, it usually doesn't bode too well for you. So I see this character dying either early on in the second act or late first act to kind of get Detective Bailey emotionally involved a little bit. That would set him up as a great red herring, which we'll get to that in a second. Josh Segarra playing Danny Brackett. This is suspect number one for me when it comes to Ghostface. I absolutely think he is our character behind the cracked Ghostface mask. A few reasons for that. Josh Segarra has already played a hooded psychopath in the show Arrow in the 5th season, so I can see him slipping into this role very easily here in Scream 6. Pretty familiar for him, I'm just saying. And then also his name is Danny Brackett. Now there's two things with that name that had me super suspicious of this character. The last name, Brackett, comes from Halloween once again, if it's Sheriff Brackett or Annie Brackett, Danny Brackett, it's right there. Come on. And if you think that's a weird reason for me to be suspicious of this character, well, let's talk about Billy Loomis. Dr. Loomis from Halloween. They have a Halloween last name. Guy likes horror movies and he likes to kill people. Take a few notes. You know the quote. Now, his first name is also Danny, which, yes, is also very similar to Annie from Halloween. Hilarious. But the other thing to take away from that is that Danny is also the name of our Ghostface killer in Dead by Daylight. They're teasing this Ghostface as being something different, more badass. I mean, he's dodging shotgun blasts, whoever it is, but I'm pretty sure it's this character. It can't just be like a college or a high school student or a parent again. No way those kind of characters are dodging shotgun blasts. Like, sorry, that just doesn't make sense to me. Mindy Meeks Martin, played by the super talented Jasmine Savoy Brown. This character is a bit of a wild card for me. This is the one where I genuinely don't know what her fate's going to be in the film. I kind of keep going back on it. Like, watching the ladder scene so much, it seems like they're kind of teasing her death, which usually they tend to do the opposite when they do that in teasers and trailers. So I'm kind of leaning towards she survives this movie, but I don't think I'm super like 100% sold on that yet. They have teased her death at least twice now in the marketing, so I'm leaning towards she lives in the film because I feel like they're making it a little too obvious. Still not 100% sold on that though. I think she definitely has a good chance of dying in this film. Tara Carpenter, played by Jenna Ortega, once again, another character who I just think is going to die to serve the overall story. I've seen a lot of people say that killing Jenna Ortega would be a big mistake, but you know, this isn't the first time this franchise has killed its most famous actor involved with the project. That's kind of a nothing argument, in my opinion, considering that we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this franchise if they didn't kill Drew Barrymore all the way back in 1996. We simply wouldn't be. Like, I'm sorry, but that opening scene is what got people sold on the film. And then there are other wonderful things about Scream 1996 as well, but the shocking opening scene where you kill who you thought was gonna be the lead character, oh my god, I mean, brilliant. So killing Jenna Ortega is not exactly out of Scream's wheelhouse. I think she is absolutely a goner here, but like more towards the third act. Like, she's gonna live throughout like most of the movie. I'm gonna even go so far as to say 90% of the film, but then at the end, I think she dies. She's like our last survivor kill. Jack Champion playing Ethan is a character I've done a total 180 on. At first, I was like, yeah, this is definitely a death, but the more I learn about this character, the more suspicious I am of them, and now I'm starting to think that, yeah, Jack Champion's our accomplice killer here. I definitely think there's at least 2 killers in this movie. I'm actually leaning much more towards 3 in total, but Jack Champion, I totally see him being the accomplice character here. I mean, just look at this picture here, man. This looks like a young Evan Peters. I totally see him being the accomplice character. This is totally based off of looks, by the way. Devin Nakata playing Anika, an easy death. Like 100%, I think she's gonna die on the ladder. I'm almost like 1,000% on this character dying mid-movie. We don't see much of her in the trailer or the teaser or whatnot. We see her during the ladder scene. They're teasing a big death here. I think it's gonna be her. Dermot Mulroney has been a very suspicious character throughout the marketing, though. We don't see too much of him in the trailer or the teaser, but we do get these really suspicious pictures of him, including this one and also the character poster today, where he looks like a killer, man. I'll tell you what. I think we are all being fooled by this character. He is our big red herring of the entire film. I think he's gonna get emotionally involved when his daughter dies, and then we start to see this like weirder side of him, and he's acting all emotional and all weird. But that's because his daughter died. People are going to be suspicious of him naturally because he is acting way weirder because his daughter died and he wants to avenge her death. But I think some of our characters will see that passion as maybe psychotic. He's our big red herring for the film. I don't think he's a Ghostface killer, and I do think he will die maybe after the reveal. Like, I think he's the character that dies after we get our Ghostface reveals. Just my guess for now, though. Shot in the dark with that one. I will say I will be surprised if he's the killer, though, because they are setting him up big time to be a red herring in this film, in my opinion. Gale Weathers, played by Courtney Cox, the one character who has been in all 6 of these movies. I hate to say this, but I am definitely leaning towards her dying in this film. I really don't want to see it. I want to see Gale live through this movie, but everything I'm learning about this movie, it just leans closer and closer to a Gale Weathers death, which would be pretty devastating to me. Here's my thing about Dewey dying. Like, he's come so close to death so many different times. He was even supposed to die in the first film, but they changed it. That to me is like, yeah, this was gonna happen eventually. Dewey was gonna die in one of these movies. That makes sense. Courtney Cox's Gale Weathers, on the other hand, though, is one of the most dynamic and more interesting characters of this entire franchise. She's easily my favorite, and I really don't want to see her go because I really want to see what else they can do with this character moving forward. But I have a feeling they're just gonna have to go ahead and do it here and kill Gale Weathers, one of our most iconic characters. And once again, it's going to be for a big statement about this new Ghostface, that this one is seriously different. Amber got lucky killing Dewey, in my opinion. I don't think luck is going to be the reason Gale Weathers dies in this film. Kirby Reed, played by the absolutely incredible Hayden Panettiere, coming back after presumed dead before from the events of Scream 4. I think Hayden Panettiere's dead. Like, I think she is going to be in the film for a while. Once again, this is going to be a kill that happens later on in the film, I think, like maybe end of 2nd act, early 3rd act is my guess. We thought she was dead before that Easter egg in Scream 5. I'm just happy to be getting her back for at least one more movie. And then maybe in like Scream 9, she gets revealed to still be alive after the events of this film. Who knows? Those are just my predictions on who I think will live, die, or become Ghostface. Please leave me your predictions in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this brand new Scream 6 and Saw X update. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon by clicking that link in the description below. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.